What's up, guys?
You see it right there.
Hold that thing
That's
up.
the album of the night. Cover to cover. London Calling by The Clash.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
That's crazy.
This is the third album by The Clash. It was released December 14th, 1979. So coming up on not a monumental anniversary, but what is that? 44 years, 43 years.
Yeah.
It was released a couple weeks later in the U.S. So for the U.S., it's kind of an 80s album, late 70s, early 80s album. CBS Records and Epic here in the U.S. Recorded at Wessex Sound in London. Produced by Guy Stevens, a guy out of the 60s. Connections with Procol Harum and Mott the Hoople. And incidentally, Mott the Hoople, from what I understand, is Mick Jones' favorite band or one of his favorite bands. But Guy Stevens was instrumental in that band, putting that band together. I guess the naming of the band as well, he had something to do with. It was recorded between August, September, and November of '79. And prior to production, Jones and Joe Strummer had suffered a year-long period of writer's block, which for a lot of people that's kind of common. They kept their rehearsal period private, in contrast to their previous rehearsal sessions, where there would be outside people there. They decided to keep these sessions private, and it kind of facilitated or allowed them to rebuild their confidence in what they were doing, they were writing.
Experiment and stuff, and not feel
Right.
like being pressured for. Yeah, they didn't want no static, I guess, from people
Right.
watching that they're selling out or this or that or.
Says that they created a structured schedule, production schedule, where they would rehearse, and then they would go out and play around, whether it be soccer or whatever, and they would rehearse again, and then they would go out in the evening to relax.
Oh, you forgot they'd go to the bar.
Yeah, they go to the bar.
They would rehearse, go play soccer, go to the bar, and then rehearse again.
Right.
Did they shower?
Probably not.
Who knows?
Have you seen Simmons' hair?
Seen his teeth?
I'm guessing not. It was recorded over a 5 to 6 week period, 18-hour days.
It's unbelievable.
Only one or two takes, and they would have what they wanted, which is pretty solid. That's almost a carryover from the production of the '60s, which I guess was what Guy Stevens was used to doing as a producer. One other thing I wanted to note, I forgot, the record company wasn't very thrilled with their choice of Guy Stevens, because he's kind of not an outcast, but he had developed a certain lifestyle, which made him somewhat hard to tie down.
Yeah. Plus, he cost a little bit of extra money because of his techniques.
Right. Yeah, he had.
And I think they said on this album it was like they spent like $30,000
Jeez.
on him for his techniques of destroying stuff and throwing stuff and breaking stuff.
Yeah, you
and,
watch videos of him. He's very Phil Spector-y. Like,
yeah,
he's the Clash's Phil Spector. Very out there.
very very well set out. That's basically what I got when I saw him throwing a ladder or whatever across the studio.
I didn't see him pull a gun on anyone, but it was very Phil Spector-y.
When I read that, I was put in mind of the one guy that was. They made the movie about Joy Division and that. I can't remember his name, but this particular person was very common for doing stuff like that. Like he went in somewhere and pulled a gun. And when I read that about Phil Spector, about Guy Stevens, throwing ladders and stuff like that, I was like, is that the same guy?
It's like his pseudonym. Guy Stevens, Phil Spector.
What was he? Was he a drunk, or he just had a really bad temper?
I think it was just like a weirdo.
A little bit of both.
Spectre?
All of them.
No, all of them. Well, Spectre I know, but this guy, the guy for the class.
This guy did it. His reasoning for doing the things he did is because he thought it made the music more. It kind of kept them in an element of rock and roll while they were recording.
Okay.
Kind of like a rock and roll environment.
Right.
And it would keep them from kind of, I don't know, just keep them on their toes, basically.
Yeah,
Keep him on edge. Right.
Yeah. And they said he would do stuff like on, I think Joe Strummer or somebody was playing the piano and he was pouring a bottle of wine right over his hands and the keys and everything as he was playing.
That, and it probably wanted to get the album done quicker, so that's probably why it was done in like a day. Because I just want to get done with it and leave them.
Did they ever work with him again?
Probably not.
I don't believe so.
That I don't know.
I mean, that's something I didn't look at. Well, they produced their follow-up, so I'm assuming not.
I'm gonna start sending you my questions beforehand.
They also produced Combat Rock with Glenn Johns, so I think that's the only record that they did with Guy Stevens.
Which is weird because I mean they obviously spoke highly of him.
And the album does sound really well.
And
It
the album
obviously worked, right? Their
the
collaboration
album was a
worked.
success. But
I didn't realize that Sandy Pearlman produced the previous album. Give him enough rope.
But at the same time, I understand because every album, the Clash was evolving. So I can understand them wanting to try something different the next time and the next time.
What album did Rock the Casbah come on?
That was
Combat
the one
Rock.
after.
Combat.
This is the one after this?
Yeah.
The one after this, right?
Yeah.
Combat Rock was after London Calling.
Okay.
Yeah. It
I
was
consider that their kind of sellout-ish album.
Sandinista was after this one, and then
Combat Rock was when they got like huge. Like they played
Yeah.
Shea Stadium and stuff. Like they got
So that's their sellout album.
that album was a lot more poppy than
Because of Rock the Casbah and stuff was like a radio hit.
MTV.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
the first time I ever heard them or
Yeah,
knew of them.
MTV and stuff like yeah.
Yeah, should I
They
say or should I go?
exploded by then because everyone bought London Calling, so everyone was anticipating the next one. So by the time that came out, everyone got it. So.
I need to get back to the thing here. Says that Mick handled the majority of the composing, and Joe worked on the lyrics, mostly the lyrics. But they had mentioned that Guns of Brixton was a Simonon composition.
Yeah.
and it kind of brought this album for them being their third album. It I want to say it made them a little more cohesive as a band because it brought more than just Jones and Strummer doing stuff. It brought Simonon into it as
This was his
writer.
This was his debut as a writer,
right.
and he did a great job.
Yeah, great first song.
Yes. And they also said about Topper, his drumming getting a little more complex, as opposed to some of the other punk bands at the time.
They were tight, man. They were tight for the time. I remember hearing a quote from Johnny Ramone. He said something along the lines is, when the Clash was like the only band he worried about being better than the Ramones.
Yeah. The first track that they recorded was Brand New Cadillac, which was one of their warm-ups originally. And I believe it's a cover, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I read that. Who did that originally?
Vince Taylor.
He was a Brit.
Yep.
How old? Like, what year did that song first get made? Do you have any idea?
It had to be in the 50s, yeah.
59.
The
1959.
rockabilly song.
Yeah. And Vince Taylor, this is kind of the connection with David Bowie. Vince Taylor did some Vince Taylor David Bowie did some Vince Taylor stuff.
He was British though. Vince Taylor's British.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was originally like a rockabilly song.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's what he did was rockabilly.
And he, if memory serves me right, Vince Taylor was kind of a little bit of a wild child.
Have you guys heard the original one?
No. I have not.
That was something I meant to do. I wanted to hear the original.
Pulling up. I don't know if you can see that's.
That's him?
Yeah.
It's Vince Taylor. Yeah. He's very young.
Looks more like Michael Landon from Bonanza right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. He's got the hair.
And I think in some aspects that went into some of their own personal aesthetics, like popping the collars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Maybe the way they might have done their hair, especially Joe did combed his hair a certain way to kind of emulate.
That's a big ass chain he's got on.
Yeah, medallion.
Yeah.
He had the drip back then.
A little Elvis Presley. By the time he joined New Order, he was a lot different. He had changed his style.
Speaking of Elvis Presley, check out this real quick. He's wearing a leather suit, pants, and jacket, just like looks like the '68 comeback special.
Definitely. But that's probably before that, though, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Elvis bit it from him.
That's looked like that was his wardrobe for his shows: is leather pants, leather jacket, and a big chain around his neck.
He's got his style.
Yep. I like the song. It's a good song. I guess there was a few different cover songs on this album.
That might be my favorite song on the whole album, dude.
Yeah, that one.
I really like that song, dude.
Yeah, that one's getting close for me.
That song is really freaking good, bro. And I don't know. That's why I wanted to hear the original one because I really like that song, dude. That song rocks, bro.
I feel like that song probably would have worked better and fit more with their first album.
Really,
I think that would like fit in perfectly in there.
I
don't know. Their first album was like straight like dirty punk, like Pistols.
Yeah, I think it fit pretty well. Yeah, their first
Yeah,
album.
that's one of the things they talked about on that one documentary I was watching in regards to their first album, and then how it kind of changed, because for this album they brought so many other elements into the.
That's why it's so strange that they sound, that they evolved to this.
Oh, they evolved quick because every album, like I said, every album was something different just about.
What was their first album? 76?
77 or 78.
I think it was 78. 70. It was either 78. This one came out
79.
Yeah, I think it was 78. No,
77.
77.
Wow.
Ramones came out in 76, so that would have been, and Pistols came out in 77 as well, so that would fit in there.
So they knocked out, between their first album and this album, an album a year basically.
Yeah.
It sounds
What didn't they have an EP in there in between somewhere?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure.
What's up, poor Mike?
Mike, what's up, man? But speaking of the various styles that they incorporated, they brought in, among others, like Brand New Cadillac with the rockabilly. They brought in some New Orleans R&B, some pop, some jazz.
I feel like the reggae is really
Reggae.
yeah.
They did every music genre in this except for rap or hip hop.
And that was still really underground at the time.
I don't even think
Very
it was
underground,
man.
No, 79 I think was like just coming up.
Yeah, it was just starting, like the Sugar Hill began.
Sugar Hill, yeah.
I know there was a rap group that opened for the Clash like around this time, and like everyone like practically booed them off stage, and I think Joe came out and told everyone like F off because these guys are awesome and
Yeah.
we should really like support them and stuff, and they became huge. Like, so I forget when that was and what band it was, but
I'll tell you here in a second. It was Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5.
Are you serious?
Yeah, opened up for Clash when they played in New York City in 79.
yes, like
Booed them off the stage on opening night.
Wow.
And that was the same period where the fire marshals came down on them for being over capacity. So they ended up spreading out the shows, creating more shows, so that people could still go to the show, because they were the fire marshals were coming down on them pretty hard, maybe necessarily, maybe unnecessarily, but almost like I don't want to accuse them of attacking the Clash because of the music style, but that to credit the Clash for creating more shows and doing an extended tour in New York for the fans, And Tom Snyder was the guy that they were on his show, and they said that because he asked about that. He asked that question about the New York shows, and Mick was like, we don't want, this for the fans. We don't want to. We want the fans to be able to show up and have a good time and all that.
What were they playing at this time? Because they weren't playing stadiums; they were playing clubs.
Clubs. No.
I think like
Was it 79 they played? Was it Madison Square Garden that they played at, or no?
I'm not sure.
Maybe not.
They were
still
playing,
young
like,
then.
I think at this point they were playing like auditoriums and stuff, like pretty
Yeah.
decent sized stages, and I don't think they were playing like bars and stuff at this
Okay.
point.
What year did drummer die?
2002, I think.
Yeah, but I think after Joe Ramone passed away.
Yeah, he was.
Joey Ramone's been dead that long?
Yeah.
It was what he passed a year before they got inducted, wasn't it?
Yep.
It was
They got
like
inducted in 03, and he died, I believe, in 02.
like
He was 50 years old.
within like 3 years, like all of them died. I think Johnny died in 02. I think Dee Dee died in 02 as well, like late 02. So it was like
Dee Dee died before John.
Dee
Or
Dee,
Joey. Oh, sorry. Joey died. Yeah, then
then Johnny. I think Dee Dee was the
They
last one.
died young, man.
Yeah, they were all.
Johnny was the
None of
last.
them got over 50.
Well, Tommy,
They hit 50 and died like that.
Oh my god.
and like none of them had kids either.
Really?
None of the Ramones had kids.
Joey was never.
Joe Strummer. Well, Joe
married
Strummer
or
had
anything.
two daughters.
God, it's crazy to think it's been 20 years. And some, right? Damn.
There's your anniversary right there that we always fall in line of.
Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Washington Square. Washington Avenue? Not sure what Washington Square is. I used to go see live music on Washington Avenue on South Beach. Not sure what Washington Square is. Washington Avenue, yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, on South Beach. It's Washington Ave. Yeah, I think I saw Pearl Jam there. Oh, it's all good. All right. What else, Donnie?
Some of the themes that they talked about, centered around London and narratives featuring, fictional and life-based characters like Jimmy Jazz and the gun-toting Jimmy Cliff. Were the inspirations for Guns of Brixton.
Dude, there's a song about Montgomery Cliff.
Yeah.
When I heard that and they kept saying Montgomery, I was like, what? I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then I read up on that song, and it was just the whole story of him and his death and everything and how he was, and I thought that was cool. That was a strange theme for me for them to make a song of, but it was cool.
Rudy Can't Fail. The life of a fun-loving young man who's criticized for his inability to act like a responsible adult.
That's all of us right here, son.
Right? I mean,
Rudy Can't Fail is
like,
probably one of my not my top Clash song, but one of my top Clash songs.
Yeah.
Not your top, but one of your top.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The clamp down, commenting on people who forsake the open mind idealism of youth. The Guns of Brixton, going back to that song by Simon, the individual's paranoid outlook on life, and Death or Glory, fucking great song.
Great song.
Which one is that?
Which is an examination of Strummer's own life and retrospectives on the responsibilities of adulthood. So it's as opposed to the standard what was originally the standard of punk, going against the status quo of rock and roll. This kind of became a very adult geared album. You know, some of the themes were geared more towards the group that had come out of school and were out in the workforce and out in the world. Lovers Rock. I mean, what's better than a song about safe sex?
Right.
You got to have it on an album, especially if you got 19 songs on it. It's got to be at least one of them. Some of the other ones that like history lessons like the Spanish Civil War.
Yes.
Spanish bombs.
That too.
Great song. That's one of that's probably one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Probably my favorite song on the album. Maybe.
Maybe.
I think it was on their first or second album they did the English Civil War.
Really?
That song's awesome.
And they kind of built it off the Johnny Come Marching Home song. So only fitting they do another Civil War song.
I like all their ideas.
They were political at the time. Yeah. They were involved into the politics of what was going on around them. Mm-hmm. Unlike other bands, like when they came out, Sex Pistols, they were like the nihilistic. They didn't care about anything, anarchy, this, that, and the other, and they took time to learn their instruments, work on their songs, and improve at the same time.
That's the difference I see between them and the Sex Pistols. The Sex Pistols were just,
and that's why Johnny Ramone really respected the Clash, because they were constantly getting better at what they were doing.
Yeah. Speaking of the Sex Pistols, this is really off topic, but when the Ramones first met the Pistols, like backstage, all four of them urinated in a glass of beer and gave it to Johnny Rotten, and he chugged it, which was kind of nasty.
Thinking it was a beer.
I don't think he ever realized ever, so he just went about his day. If you watch the interview with Joey, he's like, we all kind of urinated in the glass and gave it to him. It's funny. And I think Clash were at that show too.
They were.
That was like their inspiration. That's when they started.
So it's almost like that guy had to die. That guy just was fuck.
I once heard a comparison between the Clash and the Sex Pistols. The Clash was more the educated punk band, whereas
the Sex Pistols were the dropout junkies.
Really didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
The Clash was the Beatles and the Sex Pistols were the Stones.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's perfect. What's up, Mike? I mean, Kyle. What's up, Silver Knight Kyle?
Another song which really makes sense, and would typically be considered kind of cheesy, is Lost in the Supermarket, but it's a direct tout on consumerism and how the small mom and pop market is now the large chain grocery store.
It's like where I work.
Yeah, I really dig that song.
And they were thinking of that in '79. Where imagine now it's.
Yeah, how many big chain supermarkets were there in '79? Like,
there was a lot more mom and pops, and they already saw it.
Wow. I can't remember.
There was a lot more mom and pops, and they still saw that, coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good song. I like that song.
Yeah, I really dig that song.
Mm-hmm.
And the title track, which I didn't know this about it, but it's kind of based on, partially influenced on the incident 3 Mile Island. Just
I read that. Yeah.
Just 2 hours down the road from me. I'm like, really?
Were you alive back then?
No, that was 2 years before I was born. 3.
There's a real good movie on that. I think it's on Netflix.
That's how Donnie got born.
That's how Donnie is the way Donnie is.
Yes.
Right.
He's like a Godzilla like effect.
It all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
That's why I'm the Mastodon.
Donnie.
There's a real good show on that. I don't know where it's from. I saw it like a year ago. It was excellent on 3 Mile Island.
Yeah, and there was also, as far as another reference in the song at the time, I guess there was some flooding or something going on in London that he threw in there, and that was part of the other lyrics about, London's flooding. I live by the river.
Yeah.
You think? Oh my God! You think Farley got in a van
down by
the river from the Clash?
I don't think so.
He might have, right? Maybe. It was part of the inspiration. I'm just grasping. But it is down by the river. Dun, dun.
Let us not forget, Donnie. Also, I don't know if you're going to get to that next or not. If I'm jumping ahead, you can stop me. Train in Vain.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Train in Vain was technically an extra track on this album because, and it wasn't, how can I word this? It wasn't an intentional extra or a hidden track. It was an extra track because it was a last minute thing that they recorded. Mick Jones recorded, and they threw it on the record before they sent out, but they had already started printing all the artwork and everything for it. Yeah. So it wasn't never included on the.
It's not even on the track list over here.
All the liner notes were.
And that's a great song.
Yeah. And it's not even listed at all. And he said because it was so late in the production of it, that where the serial number would be, they had to etch in Train in Vain track
on the vinyl
19 or something, track 18.
And I had heard that song was initially going to be used for a magazine promo, and it was supposed to be, I guess, on one of those paper records that come in magazines.
Yeah.
And I guess the deal fell through. So hey, let's throw it on this.
And it's a great song.
And it almost never was on the album.
Yep. And what a great way to finish the album.
Mm-hmm.
And it's listed as a single, as one of the single releases too.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular songs.
And it was more for them. It was straight up pop song too. So it was kind of different, but like I said, they were slowly evolving every album.
Sort of charts.
And it's been covered a few times as well. I know Annie Lennox covered it once.
Top 100, it peaked at 23.
Wow. For a song that wasn't even listed on the album.
Yeah.
And getting that high on the...
I think, was that their most successful song, or was it Rock to Casbah?
Casbah was by a little bit.
Yeah.
I think up until that point, Train in Vain was the most successful on the billboards.
Even with Rock to Casbah, I was still up there with it.
I was looking for the. There it is. Covers. Yoakum?
There's a lot of covers for that song.
I never heard
Yoakum, Third Eye Blind, Annie Lennox.
Annie Lennox did it on this album. I forget, Medusa, on the Medusa album. It's a real good. She does a lot of covers on that album.
Butch Vig used a drum loop from Train in Vain for the song "Stupid Girl." I don't know. What's Clamp Downs? No, I don't see no chart success for Clamp Down, so it must not have been successful.
How many times did you guys hear this album this week? The last 2 weeks?
I would actually started listening to it the night of it was the live stream where we picked it. It was like instant. Like I'm gonna listen to this, and yeah, I listened to it all the way through that night.
I've probably heard it about 5-6 times, maybe.
In the 2 weeks since?
Yeah,
Me too.
I love this album, which was good because I hadn't heard this whole album all the way through since we bought this record, and this record we've had it for, quite some time now.
Yeah, at least
Couple years, maybe.
2.5 years, maybe.
I've never heard this album.
Really?
Well, I had never heard this album before this. You liar. You
He
shut up.
owns it.
I never heard this album before this. I heard a lot of the songs on it, but I had never heard it through.
Did you hear any other Clash album
No,
before this?
not
No.
all the way through. Just Rock the Casbah.
Yeah.
My favorite Clash song is Straight to Hell. Go straight. I was listening to that yesterday. I was jamming that shit. I
think I have listened to Combat Rock once or twice.
So I had never heard this. I heard it like 6 times.
Did it change your life?
The first time it was hard.
Really?
I didn't get it.
Wow.
The second time it got better. The third time it got better. The fourth time it got better. The fifth time I think it got worse. That's why I thought I thought Donnie was gonna be pissed off. I didn't want you guys to be pissed off.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a great album.
you got burnt out. That was your problem.
I might have got burnt out too fast.
Yeah, because
It-
it's a long album
yeah,
to
it's
listen
a-
that many times.
to listen to a double
That's-
5 times in a row.
But the reason I listened to it that many times. This is the album I've listened to the most since we started the show, and I wanted to really get into this album. I read the Wikipedia. I read all that. I didn't see any docs on Sunday, the day after we finished, right? Because I saw your expression and your excitement. I gotta get into this album. I gotta get into this album.
See, if you listen to it 5 times, you technically listen to the album 10 times because it's a double.
It's a double, but it goes by fast.
It does. It doesn't seem
It goes
like.
by
Yeah,
really
you don't even notice it. It's like
Speaking of it being a double, it isn't a gatefold album, and
Oh, it's not.
it's not. It's a single, and the reason was because they didn't want to be sold as the price as a double album.
Oh,
right.
They wanted to keep it cheap, but the thing was, it was still in a normal sleeve. So with it being 2 records, the thing was like bulging out because they wanted it to be sold as a 20.
Yeah.
they wanted it to be. They wanted the double album to be sold for the same price as a single album. Record label.
And the record company let them do that?
No, they said no, but they had they made an agreement to where they can throw in like a bonus disc or a record.
They made the whole second
Like with a
side.
couple, I guess the record label was thinking, oh, there'd be a bonus disc, but it would be like have a couple songs on it,
Mhm.
and they decided to basically throw 9 songs, 8 songs.
Yeah,
in.
we got a full album as our bonus.
So basically, they made the whole album is technically would be considered a bonus album.
Yeah.
Dude, how cool is that, bro? That
Who
is
would do that.
They were for the people, you know.
Yeah, everyone else be greedy and like we gotta make this a double and get that
And-
extra dough.
And I think that's why it wasn't a gatefold and stuff, is because it kept costs
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah, because that Grease album cost like a ton of money. When you opened up the Grease soundtrack.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong,
Yeah, plus a double in
Not-
79. would
or the
be-
Led Zeppelin, the Led Zeppelin albums. And
Yeah, Led Zeppelin 4 was pretty elaborate and
I think when it was released in Japan, it was released as a gatefold.
Really?
you know what
Yeah.
the B-side is to the London Calling single.
I think it's Train in Vain.
Where is it? Where did it say that? Yeah. A gatefold cover design of the LP was only released in
I think it was Spanish Bombs, wasn't it?
Hey, we haven't brought this up in a while. but this album might have one of the best opening songs and one of the best ending songs. Closing.
Yeah.
London Calling's an excellent first song.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a great opener.
And Train in Vain, and to end it, even though it's not listed or whatever, that's a great freaking song to end an album with.
It worked in their part for it to be an ending song.
And they said too that I don't know if it's happened before, if they're like one of the few bands that where the first song on their album and the last song on their album were like singles or hits, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even get that far in most albums, let alone a double. The last song, the second.
Imagine listening to this in 79 and you're listening to the whole album and you think it's over and then Train in Vain starts and you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it's that good of a song.
How many albums had secret tracks at that point?
Exactly. And then they release it as a single. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Plus, damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind. Hold on.
What about you want to talk about you remember or you forget?
I forgot. Just keep going.
Okay. What about let's talk about the album cover, the artwork.
Yeah.
I read up on that too. That's a
Let
pretty
me,
story in itself.
Probably my favorite album cover.
Mine too.
Really?
Yeah.
It's so good. Just look at it.
Just the colors, like
Pull
the
that
throwback.
The gray, pink, and green work so well together.
I'm going to share.
I'm not
The
going
one
to
that
disagree
it
with
is.
you. It's a great freaking cover, bro.
Let alone punk album cover.
It's a
Yes.
throwback to the Elvis, yes.
Yeah.
And from what I heard, the reason behind
Sorry.
the reason behind doing the Elvis thing, because they want to be Elvis was the star of rock and roll, and this was the end. This is the album that ended rock and roll. Like this is like the be all end all thing.
Yeah. And that's why they went with the font and stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool, bro. That's badass.
And the photograph of Paul smashing his bass was taken when they were playing in New York, when they were in tour in New York. It was taken by a female photographer of the band.
That looks like it's a riot in Argentina. That looks like that picture was taken like in Argentina in the middle of a riot or something.
It reminds me of the Dead Kennedys Fresh Fruit Raw and Vegetables album cover with the fire.
That's a very just that they pay homage to Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
It just tells you that you listen to the album and all the rockabilly and all that, you know, it sounds very 50s from the 50s. You know, it's just all these British, how they took and they made it better.
It's got to be, to me, it's got to be the most diverse album ever made, personally.
And
From any artist, because they literally have mostly every genre on here
Yeah.
that they covered.
I
All your
consider
main ones.
I consider this to be like the modern White Album because it's very it is in retrospective it is very similar because it's such a diverse album and it being a double as well. There's nothing like it.
They use horns, they use everything.
Yeah.
Like you asked me before if I had ever heard of a Clash album. I haven't, but I'm a Mick Jones fan. I was really big into Big Audio Dynamite. I'm more into like, you guys have never heard that, right?
I have not.
No, I remember you telling us about it.
I thought you just learned about Mick Jones. And you're like, I love.
No. They got this one album called The Globe.
Mm-hmm.
It came out probably like in '94, right in that area, and it's more dance, but it's more reggae beats, and it's just Mick Jones and that band. I don't know if you will like it because it's so far from this.
Well, they also did stuff with the Gorillas. Him and
Really?
Mick and
Yeah,
Paul
they did.
worked with the
I
Gorillas.
think like 2010 or something. And the Guns of Brixton sounds like a Gorilla song. Like that could be on one of their albums. I don't know.
That probably could be with more electronic.
Yeah.
No,
With a
not
little bit more
even.
electronic.
Just that song could be on like their first album. Just blend in. I think, especially like the jaw harp and stuff, like the weird instruments on that one.
I know I was surprised when I heard that they were involved in making music with the Gorillas because I'm like, wow, that's way far from rock, punk, you know. But it shows you what kind of artists they are.
That's just how
Yeah.
diverse they were.
Well, yeah, you know, going to reggae and all this stuff that nobody else was. They were ahead of their time, man.
Like going back to the cover, the photographer Penny Smith, she actually didn't want them to use that photo because she thought it was out of focus.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I think it
Um,
adds to like it has like an ambiance to it. Like
It's-
there's something about so atmospheric about like
Yeah.
it's like in the like I don't know. There's something about
A
it.
little bit of grittiness to it.
definitely.
More of their punk background, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
Honestly, if it was like a perfect focus picture, I don't think it would have worked as well.
Mhm.
I don't
And
think I would have liked it as much either.
Perhaps that's why Strummer and Ray Lowry, the graphic designer, thought it would be a great album cover.
And it is.
And there was a story that Paul had said that he wished he didn't break that bass. He had another bass also that he probably would have rather broke because that was his better bass. And I guess he smashed. I can't remember exactly why he smashed it. I want to say it was like because the crowd wasn't doing nothing, or I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
You mean that bass?
Yep, that's it.
Are you able to like?
I've seen that bass up close and personal
Really?
twice.
Lucky.
If you see some pictures, like the frets are like knives sticking out of it because it's split right down the middle. Here, yeah, pull that one up.
Where is
Yeah.
that? Where is that now, Donnie?
That's at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland.
Well,
Well, we're gonna do a screen share. Do something.
There you go.
Is that a little more up close?
Yeah, look at them frets. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the frets are
smash
still hanging on.
straight through, right down the middle, and some of them the strings are just like slapping around. They're
That's
just
awesome.
hanging there.
Very cool, huh?
who would have thought looking at a smash guitar would be so fucking awesome?
Especially the way it's broken is so weird because it's
Mhm.
not like the neck's. It's like the body's apart from the neck. It's like it's split right down the middle.
Yep.
It's a-
Really cool.
How cool if the next time we spin that wheel, we need to do the Sex Pistols next. That's got to be the album that comes out. Donnie, you got to make it happen, bro.
I
Oh,
make
real
no
quick.
promises.
Real quick, you know, I always, if I can remember, I like to do the little fun fact for the band we do. And I know I mentioned it in the past, but in case somebody's watching that don't know, Joe Strummer, he was a left-hander, but he played the guitar right-handed,
Yeah.
and that's what gave him his unique sound,
'Cause
and that's
he
how
almost
he
does like a
came up with the
ring.
name Joe Strummer.
Yeah.
So a little
Speaking of,
fun fact for the evening.
who do you think? Do you think Strummer or Jones has better songs on the album?
Who has better songs?
Yeah, Mick Jones or Joe Strummer?
Yeah, me personally, I'm biased. I love Joe Strummer, so I'm going to say Strummer.
Which songs are whose? I can't tell.
Let's see.
Train in Vain is Mick Jones. Lost in the Supermarket's Mick Jones.
Lovers Rock is Mick Jones. I think a couple others are as well.
But most of the other ones are Joe.
I'm gonna call it even, dude, because I'm a Mick Jones fan. I'm gonna call it even because all those songs that you just ran off, those are pretty
Yeah.
good songs. But the Joe Strummer song, all the rest is good too. What's your favorite song on the album?
He said it best before the show started. You're better off. What's your favorite side of the album?
Nice.
I think
I one of my top Clash songs is London Calling. I know it's played out and stuff like that, but I still
It's
haven't
still a
got
great
tired.
song, man.
I still haven't got tired of hearing it. But
The opening to that song,
yeah,
just the way it starts.
There's
the
so-
bass is
dude,
like,
there are so many great songs. But you know what? Death and Glory was always a favorite of mine, always. And of course, Rudy Can't Fail, I really, really love. But the one that kind of has grown on me as I was listening to this album is I really like the song Hateful.
that's what I was gonna pick. That song has such a great chorus.
Okay, what's your worst song on this album? That might be a easier or harder question.
I'm
Let's
gonna
see what it is.
I think for me it's really easy. I think Jimmy Jazz is.
I cannot stand Jimmy Jazz.
When I listen to the album, that's the song I skip.
No
I
way.
do
Listen to
not
the
like
album.
Jimmy Jazz either.
Listen to the album, skip Jimmy Jazz, and it is perfect. It is
Jimmy
absolutely
Jazz
perfect.
is not
It's
good.
flawless.
Jimmy Jazz, I do not
Jimmy
like
Jazz?
that song.
Should be before Train in Vain. It
This-
should be the second to last song on the
See,
album.
I do
This
not
album-
like Jimmy Jazz.
This album has me song for song for song all the way until Coca-Cola. And once Coca-Cola and everything until Train in Vain comes on, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
it's
Fog.
filler,
Yes,
filler
yes,
song.
yes.
Which
I can't say I have.
So
one
I'm
that I
glad
like.
they had Train in Vain to finish it up because, like I said, the
no one would listen to that song. That side would be just a
last 5-6 songs
it'd be
were
dust
just
on the record.
not
one would
as
play it.
momentum as.
Yeah, Bo, you nailed it. Those songs could be left out. Actually, nothing sticks out. Jimmy Jazz to me is not good. I really, like you said, skip Jimmy Jazz.
I
But the
like
rest, I really like, except for those songs. They're forgettable songs. You know, they're
Yeah.
not.
I
they
really
don't
like
stick out. They're not
slow
terrible.
songs.
They just don't stick out. You know, nothing
Yeah.
comes out. What's up? Waka
There's a
waka.
lot of real slow punk songs I like Ramones' "I Won't Be Your Boyfriend," which is so slow and cheesy, but there's something about it that still works with the album. Jimmy Jazz feels so out of place, and it's
It
too
does.
slow. It's too slow.
Well,
I can't say I have one that I don't like. I like every song on this album, every one of them.
no.
Now, if I had to choose a Clash song that I don't like, it's "Rock the Casbah." I fucking
Oh, I
hate
love
it.
that song, dude.
See, I still
love
haven't
it.
got tired. I still ain't got tired of that song either.
Dude, I still love that song, dude.
It's
I
overrated too
still love
much.
that song.
But I will
I
say
love that song.
this would be in my top
Like
5
now.
albums. If I was on a desert island, this would be one of the albums I would have with me. Top 5 right here. One of the top 5.
Yeah, for me too. This is a top 5 album as well.
It's a modern masterpiece.
Hateful though, that's my favorite song on the album.
Mine's is Cadillac. Well, you know what? Apart from London Calling, Train in Vain, I like Supermarket, Lost in a Supermarket. I think it's a really good song. I really like, and it sucks that it's a cover, but dude, fucking Brand New Cadillac rocks, man.
It does. That song's so good.
I like that song, dude.
Guns N' Brixton is very, very good.
Guns N' Brixton is excellent.
And Spanish Bombs.
See, I've grown into Guns N' Brixton because when I started getting into Clash, I was getting into their like early stuff, their punk stuff.
Mhm.
So, but now that I'm older, I've actually, started even getting into reggae, now.
I'm going to tell you guys,
I dig it
listening,
now.
He's neck deep in the reggae. Like,
Hey,
listening to this album, I knew this is one of your guys' albums, one of the Boats albums. This
Yeah,
is a total Boat album.
I
know
remember
this is
like
the music that you like.
very, very young listening to this album. Like very young. Like less than 5. And
Well,
hearing this album all the time.
like I knew this was a Boat album. Like when you brought up, we were talking about the albums that we're gonna pick, and you brought up the Social Distortion. I kind of see social,
That's
with it.
another band that's like that's like one of our favorites. Like,
Yeah, I could see it. That's exactly who you guys, where you guys are, where what you love.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
cool. That's real cool. Cash, Social Distortion, The Clash.
Mhm.
There's a lot of threads that go with and you wouldn't think Johnny Cash, but the thread is there, man.
Oh yeah, before Johnny and Joe died, they actually did a song together.
oh, it's a great song.
They did a cover of Bob Marley's Redemption song. A great version, by the way.
Listen to it.
That's my favorite Marley song, by the way.
Great. Well, check out
Joe
the.
Strummer, Johnny Cash Redemption song.
You'll dig it.
That's like amazing.
It adds a little more feeling to the song when they do it.
Yeah, because they were both.
Good.
What was that? When they do that song? 'Cause I think they were both like.
They did it before Johnny died.
Yeah, so that would have been right before
So
Joey died as well, or Joe Strummer died as well.
What did he die of?
Johnny died in 2003.
But what did Strummer die of? Cancer?
No, it was like I think he had a heart issue,
Like a blood clot. or
enlarged
something.
heart or something, and I guess he had a heart attack or
And
something.
Joey Ramone?
Joey Ramone, he had lymphoma.
Yeah, he had cancer.
Yeah. Which sucked because it was real slow and painful for him.
Sorry to be on a downer. It's just I like knowing what happened. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I probably knew that. I just don't remember.
I think Johnny was heart attack as well. Dee Dee was overdose.
No, I think Johnny had cancer also. I think.
Yeah, I think Johnny had cancer. And Tommy, I don't remember what happened to him.
I think Tommy might have had cancer also. I think. I'm not sure. And of course, Dee Dee OD'd.
Which was sad because it's like right before he did, it's like I'm clean, I'm done with that. And like a week later, he died. Sucked.
And the Clash had, Joe Strummer and Mick Jones, they had a falling out, when they pretty much kicked out Mick Jones and Topper, after this album or after Combat Rock.
Yeah, I think that Cut the Crap was their album without Mick Jones.
And so they didn't
Cut
really
the crap.
A lot of people call it just crap because it's the Clash's like load and reload. It's their version of Saint Anger. Like it's not. It's like a shell of their former selves. It's really.
So they didn't. Joe Strummer and Mick Jones and stuff. They didn't talk to each other from then to
When you
literally like right before he died. Joe Strummer did a benefit show in England for firefighters to raise money for firefighters, or whatever. And Mick Jones was there, and he brought him up on stage, and they did a couple Clash songs, and then he died like literally days or weeks after that.
Oh.
So luckily, it was nice they got to make amends before
Yeah.
he went on.
That
So-
was
So
Like-
Strummer's death was sudden.
yes.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
And the thing was that was sad though because like that Joe and Jones were able to like come together and like basically like find peace, and then he died. But with Joey Ramone and Johnny, up to the point where Joey died, Johnny hated his guts. Like even after he was like
He wouldn't go see him at the hospital.
wouldn't call him or anything because something happened
Johnny
right
stole-
after their fourth album, Road to Ruin. Johnny,
I know we're going off track.
yeah, this I'm
No, it's fine,
showing
man.
my Ramone's nerdiness. Johnny's
No, that's good. I want to hear this.
hot with
Marley
Joey's
is all-
ex, and like that, like split them apart.
Yeah,
So-
Johnny married Joey Ramone's girlfriend or
Ex-
ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend, and from
Basically, he
1978,
stole her from Joey.
yeah, and from
Then they
19,
got
that-
married.
Dude, that'll throw a wedge between any two guys,
from
bro. You know?
1978,
Sounds like GNR.
Yeah.
basically, but from 1978 or 1980, 81, I think it was 81.
Somewhere in there.
From 1981 to 2001, they basically said like less than 2 words to each other.
Yeah,
And they were still in the band for 20 years with that.
You know
much
what
of, like,
you
a
know what I
hatred.
love? You know what I love, bro? That you've read all this, you know all this, because that's what 30 years before you were born. And that is so awesome, bro.
Yeah, the Ramones, that's my nerd.
That's your jam, huh?
I know too much.
That's great, man. That's awesome to see. That's awesome, man. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. That's great.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
the Ramones and the Beatles. Those are the two bands I know like a lot about.
That's great, man. Donnie, how many album? How many? What are the sales for this album?
Over 5 million.
Jeez.
I think it should be more personally.
This is
I
their
thought I
biggest
saw
selling
something
album.
that said they sold 7 million, but I can't remember where I saw
I think
that.
Combat Rock was more because of the MTV exposure and the radio play.
That video was on every hour on the half hour, I think. You would see the little armadillo running
Yeah.
every half hour. It was huge.
Plus, around then, like they played Shea Stadium and did that, which I don't know who else played that other. They were the first people to play Shea Stadium since the Beatles did, which was like pretty crazy. And what a difference going from the Beatles playing Shea Stadium to the Clash.
It's crazy. And that was what, like a 15-year? No, probably like a 20-year span.
Yeah,
I think the Beatles played Shea like in what, 65, something like
it
that.
was 65.
65, 66.
It was late 60, no, early 65. No,
Yeah, it's like in the
65,
mid 60s,
because
right?
they played
Yeah.
Help and stuff. So it would
Yeah,
have
it was
been
in the mid 60s.
65.
Yeah.
And then that was like 80,
Mhm.
81 when they
But
played.
they played it for this album, or did they play it for?
They played it for
Rock?
Combat Rock. That
So it was a little
amazing.
later. Yeah.
Going back to Ramon stuff, Johnny Ramone saw the Beatles at Shea Stadium, and from what I've heard, he sold rocks outside of it, and he sat there in the stadium throwing rocks at the Beatles as they were playing.
Even though he was out of pitching reach.
Yeah, he was like at the top of the thing and throwing rocks all the way down. Yeah,
It's crazy.
he must have been like,
He knew he liked them, bro. He liked them. He was just being
he saw him.
a hater.
The funny part is he was selling rocks outside the place for people to
Selling
throw at
rocks,
him.
bro. Listen to how boring it was back then. Selling
Selling
rocks.
rocks at the Beatles
I
concert.
need to make a correction. They have sold a total of over 5 million records.
Oh, in
Combat
total?
Rock is their most successful with 2.2 million,
Wow, really?
almost 2.3, and the London Calling is almost 1.5 million.
Wow.
Jeez.
You would think it'd be a
That
lot
just
more.
seems low, man.
So where was this on your list as far as rock albums?
47.
Wow.
It should be higher. It should be like top 10.
And I want to shout out Cardboard Crazies for this was his album, or his number that picked this album. So thanks, Chris, for your contribution. I also want to say this was another one of those ones that came out of this book for me.
Where was it placed on in that?
In this, I gotta look. Number 25
That seems like a better placement.
out of 100.
What year is that book from, Donnie?
This book is from early 2000s, I believe.
You guys mind killing some air, and I'll be right back.
Sure.
2003.
I got some air to kill. Check this out, Donnie. You guys know I'm a big Joe Strummer fan. Look what I got.
Oh my!
I painted this like 6-7 years ago, I think.
Very nice.
Does that have a date on it?
2016, actually. I did date it.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We need to hang that thing up.
Hangs up in my bedroom. Have you heard any of his Mascalero stuff? Joe Strummer solo stuff afterwards?
Oh, it's really good. I think he played on.
It at first, when I first heard it, there was a few good songs. That's really, really good. And that time when I first heard it, I didn't really care for it too much. But the more I listened to it and stuff, it started to grow on me.
A lot of
Pretty
it almost has like a folky kind of feel to it.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff is like folky, punk-ish, rock, and some is like.
But it's not like Dropkick
there-
Murphys folk.
No,
punk. It's
there's
not
like
that.
some electronic stuff, sounds, and like beats and stuff for some other stuff.
I definitely recommend it. It's good. I think they played on. There's a video of them playing at David Letterman. They played there.
Johnny Appleseed, good song.
Nice.
Definitely listen to it. It's really good.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry, guys. I thought I had that book for some reason. I've seen that book before, Donnie. That's why I was.
You saw it on the show.
I may have showed it.
Yeah, no, but I thought I've seen it. I think at Barnes and Noble. I think I've seen it.
I think that's where I got it.
Yeah,
Barnes and Noble or Borders.
I've seen it at Barnes and Noble, and I thought I might have it by chance, but I didn't.
Barnes and Nobles, because that's.
Yeah, I've seen it there.
Are there still Barnes and Nobles in Florida?
Yeah, I got one like 2 minutes away from me.
Ours closed down in town like 5, 6, 7 years ago, whatever. Now it's
It's a Books a Million now.
no, it ain't.
Yeah.
And it was tore down, and now it was tore down, and now it's a Chick-fil-A
Oh, okay.
See, that's
There's
what our-
none anywhere near us, really.
or a bank.
That's our Borders became a Books a Million. Then we have Barnes and Nobles the other direction. I think the Rolling Stone list it had a pretty good ranking too. I can't remember where though.
I think on the Rolling Stones punk list, this might be number 2.
8th. It was ranked 8th on the 500 albums of all time.
Nice. Now that's a good placement.
Say 8th.
Yeah. Well, that was in the 2003 and the 2012 rating. It dropped to 16 in Rolling Stone's 2020 list.
Too low.
Not low enough.
But I don't know who it's.
What are we doing next, Donnie? This is a great album. I enjoyed it. I'm glad like I said, I'm glad I heard it. I heard it a lot. Maybe I didn't heard it too much.
I'm ready. I got all the next albums.
I listened to this album a lot over the last 2 weeks.
Me too.
I had to take a break Wednesday and Thursday because I didn't want to get sick of it.
Yeah.
I think I listened to it about a dozen times.
Okay.
So, where's the freaking wheel at?
Let's get close.
Who's it gonna be? Is it gonna be the Sex Pistols?
I think it'll be.
We
the
got
Beatles.
Zepp,
I think
the Beatles, and
I think it's gonna be Sgt. Pepper.
Yeah, I'll say Sarge. I'll say
Oh,
White.
there's 4 left.
Yep, 4.
Down to the
Right now,
wire.
there's 2 Beatles albums left. Wow. I'll go Nevermind. The Bolocks.
Yeah, back to back. Nice.
Double album century. Here we go.
What's your favorite? I'm excited. Yeah, this is like
Wow.
my favorite Beatles album we're doing. I'm excited.
What's your worst song on this album?
Good night.
I'm gonna say the one that isn't a song.
I think
Revolution number 9.
honestly, unpopular opinion, I don't think that's the Beatles' worst song, and I don't think it's the worst song off this album either.
I don't think so either.
I think "Good Night" is, which was a Ringo song, last song on this album.
I like that song. I think it's all right. It's a good ending.
I gotta remember which one that is.
That's it's like a lullaby kind of thing. Ringo sang.
It's a great way to end the album, I think.
Other than that,
What's the first album on that? What's the first song?
Back in USSR.
yeah.
That's my worst.
Really?
I cannot stand that song, dude.
Wow.
I can't stand that song. I always skip it.
Hopefully, Beautiful Dies. That's the one I always skip. I don't like that song.
That's a good one.
I think
Okay, we're starting the show early. I'm sorry. I'm
the
sorry for
three
getting.
songs on this album are perfect.
There's one. Yes.
No, I don't want to get any more. We said enough already.
We said too much.
Be like the Men in Black.
There's a
Dang.
perfect. There's a one of the best songs ever on this album.
I'm gonna have to get to listening because I haven't listened to this one too much.
I listen to this every once. I was listening to this yesterday.
It's
or the day
weird
before.
because this one seems to be like such a underrated album too.
That album is fantastic, bro.
It seems like no one. It's like it's very popular, but also no one cares for it at the same time. It's very in between.
It's a fabulous album.
Again, like this album, it's very diverse. That's what I
Yes.
like about it. It's so different.
hmm
Okay.
You said
I
too
mean,
much.
dude,
No more.
I started reading Gideon's Bible because of this album, bro.
Shit.
Who picked this album? Donnie, do you know offhand?
Detroit Key Club.
Where are you getting these people, bro? Where are you
Instagram.
finding these people, bro?
Instagram.
Okay.
I
was a
have
joke.
very little
I didn't mean
interaction.
anything bad by that. I didn't mean anything bad by that.
I
Also,
have very little interactions with some of these people too, so I don't.
No, I don't. I didn't mean anything bad by it. I just didn't know. I didn't know if it was YouTube or. It's cool. Thank you, Detroit Rock City,
Detroit Key Club.
Detroit Key Club. Awesome. White album, dude. We're doing the White album, dude. I'm Boat this week. Boat, and I'm not even close, dude. I'm good. I love you guys.
The only thing I'm
I
worried
love
about.
you, and I love you, man.
you guys are so great.
All right, so
As much as I love the Beatles, I hope the following week we don't get Sergeant Pepper because that's just gonna beetle me out.
I agree with you.
well, if we do this in what's 2 weeks from now,
Oh yeah, that'd be right around Christmas time, close to Christmas.
it's the
It might-
weekend before Christmas.
Okay, so we could do it.
If we want to do it then we can do the break.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That works.
I'm for it.
When did this
So
came
2
out?
weeks from now, the Beatles White Album.
The CD.
Something
With
I
their
gotta try to do
greatest-
my homework on.
With
And
their
this freaking
possibly,
Wikipedia page is freaking forever long.
with the probably the greatest Beatles song ever is on this album. One of the greatest songs ever. Period.
Not
I,
just.
I can probably take a
Wow.
While
guess.
my guitar
For
gently
sure.
weeps.
I already know what you're gonna say.
I know. I think I know what you're gonna say too.
Somebody already just said it. It's
While
not.
my
It's
guitar
not.
gently weeps.
It's,
If it's not George Harrison, it's nothing.
I think yours is Glass Onion.
Glass Onion or My Guitar Gently Weeps. We'll
Weeps,
see.
yeah.
Or maybe there's two greatest albums. Or it's Rocky Raccoon.
Rocky Raccoon.
You're saying too
It's
much.
Rocky Raccoon, bro. I love Rocky Raccoon, man. That song's great, bro. Dear Prudence. Oh,
The bass in that one. Yeah. Okay. End it.
All right.
it's a great album coming.
Good night, everyone.
Not that this album wasn't great. It's just I know this album better.
London Calling. Check it
Mark
out.
the Casbah.
In the meantime,
Lost
get
in
out
the
there, listen to some
supermarket.
music. Keep holding that up. Keep holding that up.
Cadillac. Brand new.